I'm Gio McClenachan. I'm an assistant professor at SoMAS. I do coastal disturbance ecology work, so working in marshes, mangroves, oyster reefs, and then also do some human dimensions as well thrown in there. I did my undergrad degree at Dickinson College in Pennsylvania, environmental science. No coastal specific thing there, but I've always kind of loved the coast and loved the ocean. I grew up going to Cape Cod every summer for a week, so that's where my love of the ocean kind of grew. And I knew I always wanted to do something outside and coastal, but I honestly never knew I wanted to do anything in academia. So I worked for about 5 years after my undergrad degree in Baltimore and DC, various nonprofits, and then got a job being kind of like a research tech at a long-term ecological research site in Baltimore, and then moved to kind of more basic desk nonprofit work in DC. And so I was like, well, it looks like to do anything really interesting, I need to get a graduate degree. And so that's why I ended up going back to grad school, and it's probably why some of you all are in the MCP program right now. So I ended up just going straight through to a PhD. So I went to LSU in Louisiana for my PhD. Because of that, got really into marshes because they have a lot of them there. I came in right after the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. So my research was basically just had to do with how oil impacted marshes. What was the major damage that was caused by this oil coming up on marshes. And so that was my main research in my grad school, and what has got me into now my coastal ecology realm that I have here. And then decided that I think what I really wanted to do was go to a place where I could do more research, and that's what brought me to Stony Brook. Way more research being done here at R1. I love that SoMAS has a mix of the sustainability and the marine, because that's where a lot of my work has been leading. My undergrad degree is in environmental science, so I was kind of already in that realm of like humans and nature together, they're not separate. So that's kind of my path, my circuitous, non-linear path to now being assistant professor at Stony Brook. So my research is coastal ecology based. So on Long Island, I've done work in marshes mostly, but also doing oyster reef stuff. And then I also do geospatial analysis. So I do GIS, different landscape analysis, remote sensing, anything kind of that uses spatial data, I will use that in my research as well. So because of that, there's actually a lot of opportunity for students to do work with me. Number one, GIS research is free, so that's great. And then the other piece that could be really interesting for, I think, MCP students is I have been working with the DEC at Flax Pond, and we're setting up monitoring stations there for their big tidal restoration they're going to be doing. So there's a lot of opportunity to be involved in that. So monitoring how things change with the tidal restoration, or just how the ecosystem is changing on its own because of climate change and sea level rise. And another great thing about the MCP program is that Flax Pond is 15 minutes away from Stony Brook. So it's right there, it's right on campus, it's easy to get to. So kind of a couple different variations. You can work out in the marsh, get muddy and gross and stinky, or you can also work in a computer and do like GIS, geospatial analysis stuff. Those who don't know, GIS is Geographical Information Systems. It's a mouthful, that's what I call GIS. But it is an amazing program, and it's not a program, I guess. It's just a method, honestly. And then there are different programs that you can use to do geospatial analysis. One of the big ones we use is ArcPro. It's a great program because it's what almost every single entity uses, whether it's government organization or nonprofits or education. We're kind of all using ArcPro. And GIS basically allows you to see things spatially. So in terms of marine conservation, this is an amazing, necessary aspect of it actually, is think about where fish are moving, how fish are moving, where are we catching them? Is there a spatial component to it? Do we see spatial patterns in there? Thinking about something like habitat restoration or habitat degradation, are we seeing patterns in that spatially, or can we figure out a way to restore things in such a way that we're almost connecting these fragments together? So think GIS is a super powerful system and is really valuable in almost anything you get into. So marine conservation, obviously important for an MCP program, but even if you decide to go into a different field down the line, GIS is in almost every field you can think of, from social sciences to criminology to conservation. You're going to be using this type of system. So definitely take my class. And then come talk to me about different types of kind of capstones you can do with it, because it is a lot out there. And again, it's whatever data you can get your hands on, and then you just have to use the program. So if you think of questions, we can do those questions for cheap, which is kind of a great thing about it. I think it can be a really valuable program, mostly because it gets students through in a year, and you learn a bunch of stuff in a year. You get hands-on experience. You learn really important skills in terms of statistics, in terms of GIS, and then you also can place in internships, which I think is an awesome part of the program. So you learn basically how different organizations work, what are the types of jobs you could get that foot in the door of a place you already might be interested in. Getting in as an internship kind of gets you that leg up for other applicants for like full-time jobs in those places. So I think you have that. Plus you're just like on Long Island, which has amazing marine ecosystems right here, you know, at your doorstep. You have the South Shore with the Barrier Islands and the giant estuary, the Great South Bay, and then you have the North Shore, which is a completely different ecosystem. So it's kind of cool to see all these different ecosystems and how they are in that area in such a small space kind of all together. You have your mentors, and I think it's really important to have good mentors. And what do I mean by a good mentor? It's someone who has interests that you have, but also someone who is going to be there for you, right? There are so many good professors here that will actually take the time to talk with you, to chat with you, reach out to you when you're reaching back to them. Like, I think that is a key aspect of SoMAS, and something that I would really, really highly recommend every student do is reach out to the faculty. We are here to chat with you. We're here to kind of help lead you in a direction that will help you in the future, and give you opportunities too that will help you in the future. And so I think that's a great thing about SoMAS, is that there's a lot of professors out there willing to do that and willing to help. And I think that's a strong part of, you know, a supportive academic community. And then second, it's your peers. You know, like a lot of what you get out of grad school is the connections you make, and a lot of those connections are your peers. Some of my best friends are folks that I met in grad school that I still lean on for a lot of things. So I think the MCP program, the fact that it's a year, you really get to know those peers really well. You're in the same classes, you're kind of on the same path, you're doing the same thing. So lean into that, lean into those connections, hang out with each other, chat with each other, learn about what each other's doing. It's a great space to do that because you're kind of a cohort coming in and doing it all together. Make the most of that.